And welcome to the Crochet Crowd live here home studio. And it's just a hooking day today, and just kind of working on some sample work and trying to get some stuff done. So currently working on a stitch library that will be public later this year, and just working on these little samples. And I have to do the samples in a width that makes sense for photography. So it's always in the width of a regular screen TV or monitor from your phone. So I'm going to let you load so you can join us here. You can say where you're from if you wish. And let me just get my first chain started. Okay, so I'm going to get myself started. And so you can talk to me. I can see what you're saying live to me if you wish. If you are a membership member for us, whether you're Journey or Passport, you have access to the super chat, which means that's usually about a $5 charge, but it is free included with your membership. You can use one of those on our chat per month with us. So you're more than welcome to do that. It grabs my attention on screen, and it's something that you can decide for yourself. So I'm making 1, 2, 3, 4. I am making a waffle stitch swatch for our collection. I was kind of looking at different things this morning and just kind of seeing what stitches that need better photography. So I'm just redoing a swatch that's more current with today's coloring and stuff. So we've been, some of the videos are back as all the way back to 2008, where the photography and everything is 2008. So it's before I had the equipment and the resources that we have today. So I'm going to make my swatch. So if you want to say anything, you can. All this begging for you to talk to me. Or I could just turn off and just listen to some music. So I'm a music listener most of the day. But I've been finding myself like getting bored with the music, just kind of getting tired of it. I haven't found any music that's really motivating me a lot lately, but we'll see what's happening. Watched a TV show last night. I think it was called Jury Duty. It's a reality show where one guy is actually a jury member and everybody else is an actor. So anyway, we binged it, the whole thing last night. What a great watch what that was. So there you go. Okay, so Flushed Phoenix is dropping in from Banff, Scotland. Currently a Coast Guard helicopter overhead, no idea why. And we have Massachusetts in the house with Affordably Crafty. What is Affordably Crafty? Are you a business, or what is the mantra for that kind of hook name? I'm just starting my ball, so I end up having some yarn barf, but I honestly don't find it a big deal. Just part of the name of the game. Okay, so I'm going to keep going here. Content creator teaching you how to stretch your craft dollar and be affordably crafty. Well, that's a good thing. I think the creative arts should be try to be affordable. So you're onto something smart with that. The affordable crafty. We have somebody lost your crochet, Latoya Fowler. You've lost your crojo. You know what? I phase in and out of crochet too, so you're not alone with that. Some days I'm just so sick of it, and yet it's my business. I find with myself just giving myself a mental break does me the world of good. So somebody says I'm trying to figure out what will be the fourth project. So currently you got 3 projects on the go. Okay, so working through my little sample today. Okay, hands needed a rest for Ann Butler for the Crojo. Honestly, I think people do need a rest with it. Some people are pretty manic. Myself, I was teaching yesterday. You haven't seen the video unless you remember. Unless you're a member, you can see it. But it was the jasmine stitch, and because my hands have been crocheting so long, I'm not as agile with my hands. So I had to use a pencil or a pen to be able to hold an element of the stitch that that I was working through. So you'll see that in the video once. For those that are not a member, you'll see it eventually in the future. But sometimes you have to figure out other ways of doing it. I met a woman that lost her ability through a stroke to use her one arm. So her husband rigged her up a tool that holds her crochet hook. And so with her only good arm and hand that she has, she was able to kind of just work her way through the magic of it. And sure, it takes longer to do, but she said it was either that or it was not be involved in the yarn arts at all. And so she was willing to put in the time and do her projects with the tool instead of just giving up on something that she loves. So, okay, so Sherry is out working out in the yard. Daniel's out working on the yard as well. We kind of got in trouble last year through our local government. So they what they did is they took satellite footage of everybody's properties in, I think it was March when all the snow was gone. And anyways, they looked at the satellite footage to see if anybody had any, just see where everybody's property lines are and to make sure your stuff is not over top of the lines of where your property ends. And because we are backed onto a conservation, Daniel had planted a garden that was on conservation. So the only way that you would have ever saw it though is through the satellite. So anyway, they came here several times last year to do inspections and surveying. And so we either were going to be charged for trespassing onto conservation land or remove the garden. So anyway, so he planted some trees and some shrubs and stuff. So anyway, we had until the end of the year to remove those last year. He never got it all done. So he's working on that again today. And what grabbed their attention is that he loves rocks. And so he had rocks all laying down in lines. And so from the satellite, they thought we had built a concrete wall. And so they came here to inspect only to realize it was rocks on the ground that were in the garden itself. And anyway, Daniel was pissed. So he was really quite upset with that. So anyway, so that's kind of what is going on around here. And I have to get out in the garden tomorrow. I built these trellises last year that have all blown over. And Daniel says I need to take time off and just get out there and just secure the trellises into the ground. So I got to build on something to them so I can stake them in. We have some pretty significant wind at times. So things need to be bolted down and screwed down pretty good. We had a really good windstorm. I think it was around the winter time. We weren't home because we were away on a working vacation. But anyway, everything kind of got blown over. So anyway, so that's kind of what's going on around here. Nothing too exciting. I have a baby blanket that I designed when I was in Arizona on the retreat. I haven't written out the pattern yet. It's sitting here beside me, but it's under a pile of yarn. So I have been burying myself under yarn to the point where I'm just completely suffocating myself in it. So that's kind of what's going on with that. So I'm currently working on, I'm probably changing my mind though. I'm working on stuff for the Jimmy Beans retreat in Lake Tahoe. And I've changed my mind on what I want to do. And so all of these stitching stuff that I'm doing, you can see all the samples are behind me on the desk. So I have to write the patterns for all of that. diagram work if I feel like it, or I just leave it on YouTube as a tutorial because chances are you can follow that as well because they're all easy repeats. So yeah, so Leah is joining us today. Lee, is it Lee? I think my brother's middle name is Lee. I think it's Lee, or is it Leah? I don't know. So yeah, we'll have to figure that out. Names are hard for me. I don't know why. Okay, chain 3. I'm looking at the pattern on the other screen. One double crochet back post around the next stitch, and 1 double crochet in each. Yeah, so Leah, it is Leah. So there you go. Yeah, I'm terrible with names, just terrible, absolutely terrible with names. The problem is if I hear a name, Daniel, when he introduced me, he introduced himself as Daniel, but everybody in the circle at the time knew him as Dan. So I've never called him Dan because he introduced himself as Daniel the first time I ever met him. So the first time I ever meet people, it's usually the name that sticks. So in the video, did you see Cecilia? She won the Rancher of the Day award. She is actually known by Angela, but she introduced herself as Cecilia to me when I met her before. So I've always known her as Cecilia. So that's just one of those things, right? So we have Julie all the way from the UK in the house today. Thank you so much for joining us. So how is the UK today? Is the weather holding out there? I saw that you guys had a big, the coronation happened. I didn't catch any of that live or do any follow-up to that. I am Canadian, so it does matter. But I was actually away in Arizona when that happened. So that was kind of one of those ones that, I didn't. One of the rancher people that's American actually got up and watched the whole coronation live all the way in Arizona. So she said she was up at like 2 or 3 in the morning, kind of following all that stuff. So I told her, I said, I'm just going to watch the highlights. I need to sleep in. Yeah. So Scotland is sunny, which is not the norm. So my family's from the UK. I don't know if people know that. So my family was in and around Bristol and Wales area there. The Severn Bridge was pretty close to there. So I've been to England 3 times in my life, 2 times that I remember. The first time I was too young to remember. But when I've gone and the times that I have remembered, oh my God, the rain, just the rain. So it's going to take a hell of a convincing for me to go back. I think I was dramatized for that. So we have Temple, Georgia, all the way in the house. Thank you so much, Gail, for joining us today. So anyway, so it was the middle of summer and it rained every day. And the only nice sunny day was the day we actually departed. So 3 weeks of rain. It was just like, how do anybody live here? Yeah. So yeah. So I'm making a waffle stitch today. Scotland is usually windy and cold. So because we're on the coast here, we don't, our spring is delayed. So the trees are just starting to open out now, but then we have an extended fall because of the ocean. So our summer and nice weather doesn't really come until the end of June. But then we have a longer fall than other people because of the ocean. So it's a trade-off of 2 worlds, right? Okay, so we have Tin Man Lover is Rachel. I've been watching your videos for a very long time. I started watching you loom knitting a long time ago, and I've been loom knitting and crocheting for a long time. So what's the message for her? It's a long time. So Fleshton Phoenix says that it's 4 seasons, usually in an hour. So where was the movie or the TV show Broadchurch filmed? I think there's a UK movie. Was it UK or Scotland or Ireland? Broadchurch. Actually, it was one of my favorite TV series of all time. So, oh my God, I cried. I don't cry, but I cried. So somebody is in the UB. Not sure where that is. Tim and Lever. So, okay. So that was kind of what's going on here. Trying to think what else was going on. Not much. So anybody got any good gossip? Watching from Western North Carolina. We have North Carolina in the house today. So I was going to film a little message for a youth center that is dealing with youths coming in that are pretty much traumatized for their sexuality and stuff and trying to cope. And so anyway, I started filming that this morning, and I just can't do it. I feel like an old person trying to encourage a younger person to keep their head up and to prevent suicide and the rest of it. And anyway, I started filming, and I just don't think I can do it. I don't know what the right words are to say. And unfortunately, the blunt honesty of what I feel isn't necessarily uplifting or encouraging. So that's been kind of something I was kind of weighing on my mind this morning. So I'm not sure I'm going to actually finish that project to do that. But I wanted to encourage these kids, and the kids are up to 30 years of age, not to give up and to realize that they have value in this world. Despite, I'm in Canada, so the politics are not as rough as other parts of the world, but it can be really tough. So I just, what my thing is. So Creative Grandma, what my problem is? I don't want to turn my website into an activism site. And I'm already a target for people's hate, and I don't want to get more targeting on my back because of it. So I think that's why I'm struggling, because the more I speak out about having people value their lives, I think it makes you a target for defending those that to others should not be defended. And I think that's my biggest struggle. So I don't want to turn my life upside down, but then it's kind of a disservice for those that have their lives upside down to not have encouragement. And I think one of my biggest takeaways that I had from it, so I came out in my late 20s, and I'm at the club every week. So I have friends as long as I go to the club. And I remember very clearly, specifically remembering that I asked somebody, I said, where are all the men in their 40s and their 50s? They're not at the club. And I'm like, where are all these people? And so then the club is like full of 20s and 30s, and then it gets down to hardly anybody in the older generation. And I was thinking, where are all these people? Because, it is what it is, right? And I think my message, if I was to do something like encouraging the youth to keep on going, I think one of my biggest struggles that I had, because I had to go for counseling to deal with my own understanding of what I was, but I think my own issue is that there is no role models for people like me. And the only role models that you can find are usually influencers at the time, and not so much because the internet was still coming out, but at the time, it's like you'd only see like gay people on TV, and usually they're flaming or also like really super gay, and you just have nobody to talk to. And so then you start to emulate the behavior of people that you see on TV, which are not always the best role models because they're acting. And I remember thinking, it's like, where are all the guys in their 40s and their 50s, the people that have been through the trauma to understand how their life is going to go? And I think that's the biggest struggle. And even today, if I was to look around, who are the role models in my life that can help me be who I am? And unfortunately, it's still true today that usually it's an influencer, that's somebody that's not tangible. It's not in real life. It's just cyber. And it's not always a great example of trying to get the younger generation to see a different side of life. And I think that's my biggest struggle. So I'm not sure I'm the right person ultimately at the end of the day. So my honesty is don't give up on yourself, but my other honesty says I don't know other than organizations to turn to who you can really talk to about trying to understand who and what you are. So that's been it's kind of been tough. When you're done with this, you pretty much have the video. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is, if there is one at all. Yeah. But yeah. So when I developed the Crochet Crowd back in 2008, it wasn't because I wanted to be famous or I wanted to change the world. It just was, I was stuck in a community of like, I think, what, 8,000 people, maybe if that. And it's like you're the token gay person with a partner. It's like you just don't know where you fit in the whole ball of wax. And so my goal for the Crochet Crowd when I developed it wasn't to be coming out of the closet as per se. It was just like I have a creative art. I'd like to share it, and I'd like to put some meaning to my life instead of just sucking in the air and just working for somebody else. And I think that's been the hardest element. Am I doing this pattern right? Yeah, I think I am. So yeah, so that's kind of where we go. So that anyway, that's been heavy on my mind. So I don't really want to talk about that stuff too much. So I don't know. It's really difficult. We're now going into the U.S. Politicians are starting to fight on who's going to be like the number one. And unfortunately, in the politics, and I'm talking about the U.S. because the U.S. and the Canadian politics laws are different. In Canada here, the politicians can only campaign for 60 days before the election. So the US is just as once they get elected, they just start going into campaign mode again. And I'm like, my God. So here it's only 60 days. So with myself is that I struggle a lot because there is so many months, if not years, before a politician ever gets into power or goes through the whole thing where they have done, I don't know how many speeches, but it's really rough. The election years are the hardest online. But I don't know. You can tell people that all they want. They either care or they don't. So it's kind of tough. Okay, so let's move on to a better topic. What is on people's minds? Somebody else start a different conversation because I'm getting depressing. So yeah, so I've been having fun with the shorts. Kind of, it's a twofold street with those little shorts. I like the shorts because they're so short, but I like to be able to add humor when there is no humor to be added. Some of the comments that I get are pretty outrageous, but I have to say there's hardly any in relationship to the positive comments. Those negative comments are they're kind of fun to do because some of them are so ridiculous that you have to make fun of it in order to cope. So sometimes humor is the best way to tackle something. And when you hear it back in a joking manner, you realize that it might have not have been such a big deal at the end of the day. And I find often with myself is that I'm flipping out about something now, and I'm like, in 20 years from now, or maybe even 24 hours, will it have mattered as much as how I feel in this exact moment? And so the hard times that I go through, sometimes just waiting 24 hours and letting your brain suck it in, absorb it, and just weed its way through, I find a lot usually the next day. The issue is not as big as I originally thought it was. So yeah. Okay, so that's kind of what we have going on. So Tony, is it Tonus or it stays out of the social media? I wish I could in some way, but then it's my job. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. I found myself getting hooked really hard into the news when the last administration with what the US was in. And it's only because people would say something under the table. And it's like I knew exactly what they were talking about because I understood the situation. And so then they would kind of throw somebody under the bus by quoting something. I'm like, I know where that quote's from. I understand it and we can deal with it. But ever since the administration changed back or to something else in the US, I don't find myself on as high alert as I was. So that's kind of what I've been going through in my brain. Okay, so let's get on a better topic. And okay, and Cheryl Ann is welcoming us to the Stitcher's Passport. So Stitcher's Passport and the Stitcher's Journey are two different passport levels. So the passport is just a way of supporting us with a monthly subscription. And then the journey is everything included, including all the hidden videos and everything that's all in there. So you see on the top of our YouTube channel, membership videos. That's what the Journey membership videos have access to those. And there's not a lot of members, but the members there I actually really enjoy. And you can tell who the members are here. If you look at Cheryl Ann, she has the yarn seed beside her name. So that's one of the levels that she has. So that's just a way to tell people from that. Mikey, since you have been crocheting for so long, how do you find the inspiration for your next project? Or do you ever get a designer's block? My inspiration is basically you guys. Just kind of looking at what you have. Your Inspirations presented a whole bunch of ideas last week to me that I did that 14 thing roundup. So Wendy did some analytical dives yesterday based on what people were saying. So we've got in the order of what people said in those particular roundups and what people like. So I'm going to take a closer look at that. So yeah. So am I ever going to make yourself a cardigan? I don't know about that. I don't like making wearables, and it's because I'm fat and I don't like measuring my body, just as a mental thing. Will you be doing for all of the blankets that you shared in the videos? For all of the blankets? Are you crazy? I mean, Michelle, all of the blankets. Are you kidding? I'm gonna take a look at what people commented to and see what happens there. So Flesh Phoenix, there is no pressure to be part of membership. We do appreciate it, but take care of your life first. I'm a big supporter of that. So only support us if you can, but if you can't, that's okay too. So I'm not fat, I'm huggable. That's like telling the vet that your dog's not fat, it's just big boned, and they look over their glasses and I'm like, are you serious? Yeah. So anyway, so Michelle was apparently not kidding. She wants all those patterns filmed. I think in number 13 has been most voted though, as being the one to film. So I might think about that one. So yeah, so Valerie is joining us. So thank you so much, Valerie, for joining us today. And Jane is joining us as well. So I don't know, just life is short, right? Just film it all. So I was going through the Stitch libraries last night and just realizing how long the journey's been and how much stuff that I filmed over the years. Okay, so what else is going on? So YouTube is doing another change coming up soon. So I have a mentor at YouTube Canada that helps me, and they help me by giving me advice and also giving me heads up if there's any major changes. So there's a major change coming soon. You'll notice it on your end. How often do I go live? When I feel like it. I don't have a schedule for it. I find I have to be in the mood. I don't really like doing lives very often, so I just like to do it if I'm in the mood. So anyway, one of the major changes that's coming ahead is that your YouTube, when you go to look at it, so if you go and look at the Crochet Crowd homepage on YouTube, you see I've got all the videos set and what I think you should look at. So one of the things that's going to be changing is that there's going to be a new opportunity that YouTube will be able to identify what you like, and that my homepage will look different for everybody. So based on their own interest and what they like to crochet or knit, and it's based on your Google searching and what you're looking at online, that it determines which of the videos that it will show you as an opportunity. The other thing that I started last month when I had a last meeting is at the end of the newest videos is that there's a suggested video to jump to. So that's something that I have to individually program for every video, but we have like 4,200 videos. So going back and doing that through each one is a nightmare, but it's something that I've been doing. And the nice thing about that is that once you see a video, YouTube identifies that you see it, so it won't give you the suggestion twice. So that's kind of a neat way to be able to really see more and more content. So I haven't finished a loom knitting scarf that is red hard eyelash yarn scarf that I started back, I think in September, before the live action Monster High movie came out. I don't know what that is. And the scarf is purple. So we have South Africa in the house. Thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, so the picture behind me with the beautiful trees, did I create it? No, that's Young. His last name is Young. I'm trying to remember his first name. He is an artist from Newfoundland. It's not an original. It's a print. But he's from Newfoundland on Fogers Island. And Fogers Island is one of the most expensive places in Canada to ever visit. And I'm really not sure why. I think it's just due to location, and there's not a lot there. So his inspiration is the Little Red Shack. So he wrote a kid's book, he illustrated a child's book. And so the child's book is based on the little red shed that gets isolated by the other sheds, and because he's different. And so most of his paintings have the little red shed in there somewhere in the picture. And the red shed is just part of this signature. And I think it's a moral message of that your uniqueness is what sets you apart and makes you a better person versus trying to blend in with everybody else. So he came to this region a couple years ago. So I ended up buying a print for the office here, just to remind myself that I'm never alone. Because sometimes it can feel that way. And I think we're all kind of trying to pedal the same boat. Make a crochet vest. So Euro is making a crochet vest. And April is liking the videos so far. So that's cool. Yeah, I'm trying to determine, there's really nothing in trend for crochet from what I can understand right now. Unless you have any ideas for what's in trend. I just don't see anything in trend that people are dying to crochet. Like dying. I just don't see it. So anyway, I can talk very bluntly to your inspirations, and I said, I'm just throwing shit at the wall and see what sticks. Because maybe there is a trend there that's just nobody knows it's a trend, or we need to create a trend, or we just keep going along and it will eventually work itself out. So how many hours a day do I crochet? I don't crochet every day. And this here will probably take 2 hours, this particular sample. And so that'll probably be my crochet for the day. But I did crochet this morning because I on the membership side of YouTube, I released a video called The Wattle Stitch. And so the wattle stitch sample that you saw in the video, it was only halfway done this morning. So I had to do that before I could film the video this time. And I filmed the video around lunchtime, my time. So Candy's saying that it hasn't really noticed the trend either. Yeah, I haven't really seen anything that is just jumping at me. The puppets are watching me. Yes, Scrappy and Nibbles. Or Scrappy, yeah. Or Nibbles. So anyway, a lady at our local group, she made a few of those, and then she reduced the arm length and made them into mittens. And so somebody commented, I believe, online saying that they wish I would have thought about doing it as mittens instead of doing the puppets. And I'm like, originally they were never supposed to be a design anyway. They were supposed to be Daniel doesn't like being on camera, so he said he would be on camera as an alter ego for a puppet so he could hide his face. And that was why that's why I created the puppets. But so they were never supposed to be a design that was supposed to ever be public. Just it was never in the cards. So anyway, so then people are like, I want the pattern. I'm like, God. So anyway, so but lucky I did write the pattern as I did it, just so that I could do 2 of them. And so anyway, that's how those puppets came to be. I just do with the feeling at any given moment. I'm working on it as a gift, says Candy. So La Ray is saying crochet and knitting are the therapeutic for the anxiety. I agree with that as well. We're surfing and came across your channel. Son requested a robe a few years back, and he's living in San Francisco, wild and crazy, but we both like it. So Valerie says summer dresses and flowers and combine them together, and granny square bags and anything. So if you can stitch it, it may be on her hands. And Euro is also done. So, okay, so also done a mandala. I like the mandalas. I like the ideas of stitch samplers a lot. So my journey that I'm going through right now, doing all the samples, I'm thinking about how the samples can work together, possibly mix and match. So I don't plan on throwing out these samples. Just keep them in my little shelving unit and then keep them labeled so I know exactly what they are. So if I'm looking for ideas, I can just pull the swatch and pull that out and see what's happening. So yeah, my boredom is, so somebody recently said that I'm possibly ADHD, which I never considered as a possibility. And anyway, I have not, since they mentioned it to me, I have not been the same mentally. I've actually been quite mentally a wreck since they said it. And it's somebody that I care about, and they said it in a loving manner because they also have it. And so I've always classified my personality as being a workaholic, where I cannot justify sitting around doing nothing with my life. So I work all the time. And when I'm not working, I'm still working. So anyway, so she mentioned that I was possibly a workaholic, and she meant it in a loving manner. But unfortunately, she says, well, do you do this? And I'm like, yes. And she goes, do you do that? And I'm like, yes. And so I'm finding with myself, since I know this information that has been brought to my attention, I'm finding myself just emotionally unstable throughout the day, because I'm finding myself as like, I will start writing a blog, and then I will jump to doing a sample, and then I will put the sample down, and then I'll jump to filming. And before I know it, the end of the day is gone and I got nothing to do. And like, I got nothing done. And it's like, I cannot sit there and just finish one thing without starting something else. And so a lot of people have work in progress. For myself, it's not work in progress. That's the problem. It's everything else. So that's been doing that. So granny squares are taking a resurgence back. That's true. Granny square cardigans, tops, clothing, granny square, anything granny square is trending once again. So that is totally true. So Flesh Phoenix crochet has been helping with the migraines. So why don't you get some medication? I don't want to. I'm not a person to take medication or drugs of any manner. I have an aversion to doing that. And no reason other than laziness, but I don't want to be taking drugs at all. I took antidepressant drugs in my 30s. And anyway, that was just It was horrible, just horrible. And it's like I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel sad. I just felt like I was just breathing oxygen. And anyway, I realized that I can't enjoy the good moments if I can't feel the low moments. And so anyway, I took myself cold turkey off the antidepressants, and what a nightmare that was. And so I try to avoid taking any kind of drugs, including aspirin or Tylenol, unless I absolutely cannot cope without it. Even cold medications, I'll only take it if I absolutely think that I'm to do that. So it's just a personal decision, but I'm not an anti-vaxxer or anything like that. I'm just a lazy person. I just don't want to be taking drugs on a daily basis. Okay, so somebody's suggesting that, to be honest, less drugs as possible. So Daniel is on an armful of drugs every day. He's had a heart attack, so he's got, I think, 10 prescriptions that he does every day. So it's everything from one thing to another. But if one of those prescriptions are off in any way, his personality just flies all over the place. And I just don't want to go. I don't want to be like that if I can avoid it. So I don't know. Who knows, right? Okay, so what else we got going on? So I don't know. I just don't want to feel like my life was a waste. I think, and this goes back to my conversation that I kind of was leading off with earlier, is that I feel with myself because of my lifestyle. I feel like I want to contribute extra more in life so that I get treated properly. So I feel like if I'm not working or trying to help others more than I'm helping myself, I feel like I'm failing. So it's just a personality issue that I think I have. Depressing, right? So there you go. So Amanda, welcome to our chat today. So, okay, so what other stitches do people think that I need to look at? So I've been looking into Europe as some of the stitch ideas that I have been missing that I haven't seen. So I still have a list, I think about 10 more things that I need to make. The waffle stitch that I'm doing right now is something that was not on the list. I just noticed it this morning that I want to redo the video because it's kind of aged. And so I'm working on that now. So again, there's my jumping around from what I have. So my plan was never to do this today, but it ends up being my plan. So Flesh and Phoenix is on a lot of medication stuff, or a lot of medical stuff. Yeah. What is my favorite stitch of all time? My favorite stitch is the Catherine wheel stitch. It still has my heart after all these years. I learned it when I was 14. And it's one of those, it was the stitch I learned after I learned how to double crochet. And that's something that I'm reading somebody else's comments. So that one has my heart. So I have filmed the blackberry stitch, and I have filmed the popcorn stitch, but I don't know what the mistake stitch is. Let me just write that down. Mistake stitch. I've heard that name, but I thought it was just somebody making a mistake. I'll write that down. Mistake stitch. I've heard of that. I'm just trying to think where I heard that. Somebody's got some good ideas today. So I've been thinking about a short that I wanted to film, mimicking The Devil Wears Prada with Meryl Streep and Anne Hathaway. And anyway, I was thinking about how I would do that. So I'd have to do a split screen where I'm talking to myself. So in one thing, I'm myself having a bird about something. And then my other personality is Meryl Streep. And I've got it all worked out in my head where I'm going to panic about something and I'm going to be sitting here and I'm going to be Meryl Streep. I'm like, that's all. It's so dismissive. It's like, that's all. Actually, you know what? That should just be the short, like for 3 seconds. That's all. Anyway, I have fun making those stupid little things. So that's been kind of fun. So it's hard to train yourself to focus. That's what Sherry's saying with antidepressant. And I totally agree about the meds. Yeah, I think it's just too easy. But Daniel and I have an excellent nurse practitioner that deals with us. We call her Dr. Debbie. She's not a doctor, but like, and anyway, she is just such a riot. But she will not put you on a drug or prescribe you anything unless you absolutely, absolutely have to have it. And she has no problems with saying, no, you're not getting that. You are going to get yourself through it, and you don't need the meds. Just do what you need to do. And so anyway, I really respect her for that because it's so easy to leave with a prescription. So her motto, I believe, is that if she puts you on a medication, it just makes one more thing that she's going to have to monitor. And if she doesn't think that you absolutely need it and that just time or something else that you could do in your life that will change, then that's her model. And I respect her, deeply agree with that. Yeah. So Meryl Streep, I think Meryl Streep is a hell of a great actress. Just, I don't know how she does so many different roles because she's so different in every one of them. It's not like Tom Cruise, where you see him and he's still the same person. Who else is like that? That Sarah Jessica Parker. Every time you see her in everything, she seems like she's exactly the same person, just with a different name, like personality-wise. But Meryl Streep seems to completely change. So that takes talent. You know, that's how I should end my videos. That's all. and Jane Fonda. I was watching, I never finished watching. I enjoyed, what was that one on Netflix? Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin. I enjoyed the first 2 seasons of that, and then I kind of lost my interest. And I think I lost my interest when they started talking about all the sex toys. And I can handle the humor. I just didn't find it funny. It just didn't work for me. But yeah. So anyway, I have not watched any other seasons beyond that. Frankie, Grace and Frankie, that's right. So I'm working on just a sampler of just the waffle stitch. Grace and Frankie. So anyway, so I have to think about my little short when I do the next one. So I just think about it and I just turn on the camera and I film it and then I just put it out. But I'm always looking for ideas. So if you ever have ideas, sometimes it can spark an idea. Sometimes Daniel and I think about doing it. And then I'm like, no, I don't think that the audience would like that. So that's a great NP. I'm not sure what that means. Would be, you know, it'd be better if you could do a waffle stitch in a circle. And then you could actually look like it's a Lego my Eggo. Anybody remember that, or am I showing my age? So Candy's more of a fans, shells, and waves kind of girl. I'm trying to think what other stitches I like. So somebody's Cheryl Ann is eating blueberry Eggos. Make a crochet Eggo. I'm sure it can be done right in a circle. Getting my brain thinking now. If it starts smoking, it's me, it's not you. So let me look at my list. So what other stitches do I have yet to do? Okay, I did the cream puff yesterday. Floret stitch I did. Cluster stitches in rows. Okay, that sounds boring. I did the sumarai stitch. This scale stitch I did. The rice stitch I did. The half double crochet V stitch I've not done yet. Thick stitch I just did, sample made. Trinity stitch I did. I think I'm almost done my list. Oh. Oh my goodness. What else do we got? The Elizabeth stitch. I did Turkish stitch. The feather stitch. I gotta do the feather stitch. Maybe I'll do that next. So Laurie is just joining us. Got you live. How are you? I'm doing good. And your stitch dictionary is amazing. Thank you. Years in the making. So Mima is saying that if anybody can figure out a circle waffle, it'll be me. Yeah. I'm not so sure about that. I don't know if my brain operates like that. But yeah. So I was on track to making 35 samplers, but I have added a couple along the way. Well, probably more than a couple. And yeah, so Brienne 44 is joining us as well. She's been a member for 5 months. It says 5 months. Not a long time. Where we go? Okay, what does Maggie say? I started the entrelac. It is interesting, but I will stick to making throws and blankets with it. Yeah, I did a knapsack with the entrelac. You probably saw that. We did it actually as a cruise project. I saw this really interesting stitch once, and it was the grannies in spiral, except for it wasn't. The granny clusters were sort of lying on their side, so probably not explaining that very well. Okay. The granny squares were lying on their side. Lying on their side. I don't know what that could be. I'm curious though. Okay. I want to try making a stuffed animal like a dinosaur for my 2 nieces. They love the dinosaurs. You should take a look. I believe that Repeat Crafter Me, Sarah, has a squishy dinosaur. She may have filmed it. It might be on her channel. Squishosaurus. Yeah. Okay. A slanted granny. I did a granny square, but it was like a wonky one where it looks like it's spiraling. The wonky granny square is let me take a look at that one. I did it's called wonky. Why do I remember this shit? I don't even know. Let me just take a look at wonky. You can let me know. I'll put it in the comments here. Oh crap. Why did I do that? I have one. It's called wonky. Why did I do that? I did that for a reason. So this is the wonky. But I don't actually have a video on it. Why did I do that? I did this for some kind of charity event where they asked us to donate squares. Oh, you know what this was? I did a whole bunch of wonky squares for the cruise ship when we exchanged granny squares. And I didn't even teach the damn thing. What am I doing? I'm just checking because maybe I called it some other name. No, I never filmed it. But Yarn Inspirations did. So here's the link for that if you want that square. So anyway, we used to do a granny square exchange on the cruise ships. And anyway, that was the squares. I made a whole set of squares that look like the original video that I showed you. So my email is at the bottom of our website. It's Sam if you want to send that to me to take a look. Yeah, so Valerie is saying, did a chart is a rid for the grandson. Complicated. I don't think charades, or I don't know what that is. The Irish stitch. I'll write that down. Sherry, you're getting some ideas today. Look at you. You're going to get a gold star by the end of this thing. Oh, I actually wrote down gold star instead of Irish stitch. Oh, Sherry, you make me laugh. What is a Charizard? I'm not saying that right. It's a Pokemon. Oh, okay. Well, I wouldn't know that. Have you ever done lace weight project? Yes, I have. The Globetrotter shawl. Here, let me get you that one. I actually did, it was a stitch along, and I think only 3 people actually stitched along with me because I told them that nobody's going to like it because the price of a project was like $200. And they're like, well, people won't mind. And I'm like, yeah, they will mind. Anyway, it is the Globetrotter shawl, and it will be here. So anyway, I filmed it, and exactly what I thought. It was too expensive. But anyway, people could have substituted with a much cheaper yarn. So the Globetrotter shawl is in that link I just provided. And anyway, I really enjoyed it. I actually made a full sample for myself. I donated it to charity, but really thoroughly enjoyed making that. Our channel is set that you cannot post the link on these chats. And the reason for it, and Valerie, I know you can start like spanking me all the way to heaven. The reason for it, you will not believe the amount of porn that is literally on our Facebook or on our YouTube channel. So anyway, to avoid the porn, we have it so that you can never post a link in the comments. Because it is fast and it is furious. Every time a new video comes out, there are several comments immediately with just porn. But because we don't allow links, it automatically takes them out of the main viewing and hides them into a folder. And then they die a slow death in 30 days. And it also prevents other YouTube hosts to posting advertising on our stuff as well. Okay, I'm gonna have an emergency bathroom break. I don't even think I can finish this. So I will see you another time. And thank you so much for joining us. And I got to get off right now before I let go all over my chair. Oh my God, I can't finish fast enough.